Hello and welcome to the Comedy Slab. I'm Adrian. Stop trying to make me laugh at the top. I'm Stone Cold Stober, as someone once said, who clearly wasn't. But I am. Although I'm drunk with fatigue, but that's another story entirely. Anyway, I am also Adrian Lacey in the southeast of England, and Monsieur O'Connor, Shane to his friends, but there aren't any of those, so he's just Monsieur O'Connor, is in the Midlands in some suspect place that no one's ever actually put on the map or believes exists. In a moment, we're going to put on the Slab of Comedy an edition of Mortimer and Whitehouse Gone Fishing from BBC Two / BBC iPlayer. What is it? Series 3, Episode 4. We're also going to talk, just before that, in our newsy section of... don't start yawning just yet, please. I've decided to contract out my yawns this evening to Shane for a small fee. Anyway, we're going to be talking about a statue of Alan Partridge, no less. I can't believe that phrase had just tripped trippingly from my lips. But before we do that, we're going to shake things up and put the what's normally at the end of the show at the beginning. But if you're brand new to the show, special welcome, you won't notice the difference because you won't know any different. Anyway, on social media, we are at Comedy Slab. That's on Twitter. And also there's a Facebook page, also at Comedy Slab. Please like the page and follow us on Twitter, and we will love you in return. We'd love you even more if you give us a gorgeously generous star rating on iTunes / Apple Podcast. Yes?
No, I was just going to say, I was just going to mention the Partridge thing.
Yeah.
Because we both saw this story and we both liked it, didn't we? We both thought, yes, definitely.
Gorgeous. Good news story. We need one of those.
Yeah.
Is it a good news story? Actually?
Well, I think so. This Alan Partridge statue has been erected in Norwich. It's almost like a kind of... it's almost... Sorry.
You haven't been listening to yourself, have you?
I just for a second, so I've heard this before. For a second, you know, when it pops into your head how you're going to phrase something. And I was going to say, this statue...
Very occasionally.
This statue just kind of appeared. It's almost like a guerrilla erection.
I'm not going anywhere with that. That's just... That will get us taken off the air. Hauled off. All good podcast.
Oh, dear.
Oh, aggregators.
But it is, isn't it? You know, like they have the guerrilla gardeners.
No, I don't have gardeners, but...
I thought that was London, didn't they? They have guerrilla gardeners where they go out and they forcibly plant daffodils.
Forcibly? I prefer the Frank gardeners because they give you the news. Oh, okay, that's a bit niche. Right, you're having far too much fun.
Oh, dear.
So what's the deal? This statue is up, and the story is... I don't believe that anyone seriously would think about going to all that trouble putting the statue up and then taking it down. But they're talking about taking it down, or they were talking about taking it down in the next few days, weren't they? Have I read that correctly?
Yeah, it looks like it's only going to be a temporary thing. I mean, they're quick as a flash. People have been on because, you know, Steve Coogan has just done this new thing, this deal with Audible, where you can get his podcast live from the Oast House.
But that's actually, just a quick pause, a tributary there. Is it actually technically a podcast? Or are Audible nicking the term podcast and trying to convince us?
Well, no,
it isn't available in normal podcasty ways.
No, I mean, you have to, which I have fortunately, but you have to have a subscription with Audible in order to download it. You download the whole thing in a lump. I think it's about 6.5 hours.
I wouldn't call that a podcast.
No,
and I wouldn't have thought Alan Partridge would actually, as he's a stickler for detail. But anyway,
it is Alan. It's funny because he makes references to the deal that he's got with Audible throughout the podcast, which is quite nice. But yeah, so they're saying, is this a publicity stunt now, just to sort of bring him to the forefront, kind of thing. And but yeah, so they put this thing up in the shopping centre in Norwich. And the plan is that they were just going to do it and then take it down again. But now residents are saying, actually, no, we really want this. I've said for a long time that I don't think we do well enough with our sculptures. You know, they're not imaginative enough. They're not funny enough. They're not thought-provoking enough. probably outside the capital, I think it's fair to say. Which is why, I mean, one of the reasons in Bristol, they just throw them in the canal if they don't like them a lot of the time.
Well, I thought that might happen to Alan because he's upset so many people. But
who's upset you now, Alan? It's just people. I just hate the general public. And I'm minded of
these are sex people.
I always look it up if you get a minute. The Sock Man in Loughborough was one I always held up as an example, which was created by Shona Kinloch. And it's because Loughborough was the centre of hosiery, where they make hosiery, amongst the centre of other things. And they've got this statue. It's this fat bloke in a vest putting some socks on, and he's called the Sock Man. And Are you
sure you weren't looking in a mirror?
I always.
How very dare I?
But I always thought, we don't do enough. It's not creative enough. It's not. I don't know, and I love this.
Are you saying that's a good example? The Sock Man.
Yeah, and also, do you know, like when I was in Deal, I tweeted recently that I've been in Deal, and I managed to find, just by accident, the home of Charles Hawtrey. And I thought, how wonderful if you went onto the seafront at Deal and they had a Charles Hawtrey statue. That's what like they got one of Morecambe and Wise. You kind of think that's what you want, isn't it? I don't know. To me,
well, it's just Eric, isn't it, in Morecambe?
Oh, sorry, it is Eric Morecambe, isn't it? Yeah.
But that's I was there in the days when you could actually go on holiday. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And a steady stream of happy, snappy photographers there, of which I was one at one point. Yeah, you've absolutely got to do it. So if you think what it attracts, now I know Charles Hawtrey doesn't quite have the profile of an Eric Morecambe. But it would help the profile, of course, to get a statue up.
It's still something you want to celebrate, isn't it? Yeah, I mean,
absolutely. Well, look, if Morrissey wanted to put him on Smith's singles covers or whatever he did, it's got to be worth a statue. Anyway, we must move on. People think we're standing still like statues when we should be putting something on the comedy slab. So basically the formula is we take a different comedy each week. We take it in turns, me and Shane, to give each other homework. I set the homework for Shane, and indeed you, dear listener, to watch, as I say, Gone Fishing, or rather, let's give it its full title, Mortimer. And I have to stop myself saying Reeves and Mortimer, or Enfield and Whitehouse, or whatever.
Doesn't feel right, does it?
With that last week. No. Well, I'm just being old school, obviously. But anyway, Mortimer and Whitehouse. Do you think it was in the contract? It had to be alphabetical, a bit like Staged the other day. Sheen and Tennant arguing over whose it was their middle name in the end, which was first in the alphabet.
I think you might have something there, because what Whitehouse and Mortimer flows better, doesn't it? Don't you think?
I'm not sure. I've never thought that could be Wham for short, couldn't
Whitehouse and yeah, Wham. Wham. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
Anyway, so what's the premise of the show? Well, it is that what they have in common is they both had serious heart problems in the last few years. I think it's that sort of time scale. And Paul Whitehouse suffered it first, and then he heard that Bob Mortimer had I think, a triple bypass operation, and was becoming, reading between the lines a little, a bit of a recluse, or at least not doing an awful lot, and just getting a little bit withdrawn, as you would, as a lot of people do under those circumstances. Paul actually spoke to Bob's wife, and that's how he got this sense. And I think
Mrs.
so. They did
Mortimer.
It initially, if you will.
Yeah.
Lisa, actually, I believe is her name.
Oh, okay.
We're on first name terms.
I see. I wanted to sound like I knew who she was, but then you just gazumped me, haven't you? There completely.
Always happy to. Any opportunity. Thank you for that one. Effects coin in mug. Now, initially, as you would do, even working in showbiz, they did it as a thing amongst themselves. No cameras present, other than perhaps the odd smartphone camera. But then word got out, and Paul Whitehouse's creative juices got flowing, and he thought it would make a great topic for a show.
Do you believe
now,
that?
Before we...
Or is that the press office working overtime, do you think?
Well, I don't think it's working overtime. I think that would take about 5 minutes to.
Well, it's overtime for them, isn't it? Press office. Come on, let's be honest.
Oh,
I don't believe that. Is why I say it. I don't.
Okay, well, give us the O'Connor version.
No, I'm not. I just don't believe that bit. To me, that doesn't ring true. I'll tell you why a bit later when we delve into what I thought of it, because that will make sense then. But if I do it now, then I'll give away what I thought of it. And you wouldn't want that, would you?
Well, I think, and maybe the occasional listener...
Sorry, that sounded a bit menacing, didn't it, there?
Well, it did. But it's your menacing tone. I was going to say, I think you may... Go, don't drive into that cardboard box. You'll knacker the old motor.
You wouldn't want that, would you, you old tart?
Slag. Surely that's Mike Reed from EastEnders. Anyway... himself a stand-up comic earlier in his life. Now, we will get into the first of 2 audio clips now, and people can begin to make their own minds up. Obviously, ideally, you'd watch the show. Yes, Shane? O'Connor, what is it?
O'Connor at the back. What? I was supposed to
Take Lacey out of the bin first and spit that chewing gum out.
Spit Lacey out and take that chewing gum out of the bin.
And take that look off your face.
I was supposed to give a headline, and I've got a cracker this week.
No, you can't. Well, you can't do that until we've heard the audio clip.
Oh, right, okay.
Are you breaking the first law of Fight Club?
I never really wrote down what the orders were. I should have done that.
Yeah. I'm giving you your orders.
I've got a sketch of the roof of my shed, if that's any good, but I've got to refelt that, so...
Now, we won't do the joke where someone wrote into Agony Aunt years ago, Marge Proops, and said, where can I get felt in Birmingham? We're not doing that joke. This is a family show. But she said she wanted to write back, you can get felt anywhere in Birmingham.
Yes,
now,
the ball ring is the best place. That answers both questions.
That's what they call a comedy tag. That's even better than the original joke. Anyway, now in this first of 2 audio clips, in this concentrate, in the first of two audio clips, there's no fishing, funnily enough, but there is. You've got a minute during the audio clip to recover, or this show is cancelled. Right.
Start again. Sorry, go on. I just keep. Where can I get felt?
Strangely, for a show called Gone Fishing, they're not actually fishing during this first audio clip. They are, in fact, about to eat. But this is all context and texture and all of that stuff. And they're sorting out... it's actually Chef Bob Mortimer showing the restaurant attendee, that's not the right word, Paul Whitehouse, what is for lunch.
And this is a frittata.
Oh.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you like potato frittata? I'm just as a little starter for you. I'm going to do some fun cobs. Yeah?
Are you coating it?
I'm coating it with cheesy
what?
puff. So, there you go.
Whoa.
Whoa. Hello.
No, don't you come at me with that bouncing corn.
Do you want me to have it then?
No, I want it, but I don't want it.
Go on, tuck it.
Am I allowed to?
How is it?
It's fantastic.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
Absolutely brilliant. What have you done, you little wizard? Do you know what it reminds me of? A top-heavy pole vaulter. No one of them ones, when they go and you think, he's never getting over there.
We just need to come up with a name for him, Paul.
Cobby Wobbles.
Cobby Wobbles it is, Paul.
I love things like that, you know, when they do recipes. He crushed up some... what was it?
It was cheesy Wotsits, wasn't it?
Cheesy Wotsits, yeah.
The powder off them.
Yeah, no, he just crushed the bag up. He just crushed them up and then tipped them out and then rolled the corn in the cob. And I thought, oh, man, I've forgotten all about that. I've got to write that down and try that. It looks absolutely scrumptious. I do like things like that when they use, like, sort of pre-packaged products and turn them into something else. But, yeah. Anyway, sorry, do you want a headline then?
Oh, of course I do. Long overdue, since you wanted to give it earlier than we normally do it. But as it's you...
I just all it was just I'm quite proud of this one. Normally mine are quite lackluster, I think. But then, and I just thought, oh no, that's quite good. My headline is tight lines in trying times.
Oh, tight lines in trying times.
Yeah,
I like it. You've cast.
Oh.
You've cast out deeply for that one. So you think this is a good antidote? Because actually, this is the first consciously self-referenced, socially distanced show we've ever put on the Comedy Slab. We've been socially distanced since long before it became fashionable, darling. You in the Midlands, me in the southeast of England.
Some would say that we started the trend, but I'm not sure how that.
Well, then they might blame us for the virus, and we really don't want that.
No, we don't want that. No, in fairness. Yeah, I mean, for those who don't know, tight lines obviously is a fishing. Don't get me wrong, I'm no fishing aficionado. If you see what I mean.
Oh, was that intentional?
Not really.
Fish. Oh, you could have claimed that.
Oh, of course it was. Completely intentional. Yeah, so I don't really know fish, but I do know tight lines is a phrase that it's like a kind of good luck fishing phrase, isn't it? You know, tight lines.
Oh, is it like break a leg?
Yeah, I think it's that kind of thing. And the only reason I know it is because the fisherman Terry Thomas used to do a programme with Chris Tarrant before Chris Tarrant went national. Chris Tarrant used to work for the local TV station in the Midlands, ATV. And he used to do all the and finally segments, you know, the quirky stories and stuff like that. But then one of the things, there was a guy...
You can't quite see Chris Tarrant doing all the serious news stories from the Middle East, can you?
No, not the Middle East, the Midlands. But yeah, so, and then one of the spin-offs was this guy, Terry Thomas, who was not the Terry Thomas, not the Gath tube.
No.
Hello.
Hello. But
he was this fisherman, local fisherman, and they used to do a programme and it was called Tight Lines. That's how I knew the phrase. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like about this, isn't there? There is I mean, it is a great premise. However, it falls short for me in a couple of places, and I don't know whether you feel the same. So before I explore that, give us an idea. What do you think about the general thing? I mean, in general, in broad terms, are you a fan of this?
Well, that's two separate questions, if I may say so.
Go on.
Because the one thing I've separated. Call me an old TV bore. I clearly am. I've separated the format from how it's worked out in practice. The delivery thereof. Format sounds fine for a show. It's distinctive. It's what people might call high concept. In other words, if someone asked you at a dinner party or any other meeting, socially distanced, what's your show about? That you've got an idea for a show. What is it about? You can tell them in a sentence.
Monkey tennis, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the fattest people. Oh no, that's inner city sumo. But anyway, so format good, execution left. Well, it'd be intriguing if we find the same sort of things a little bit lacking. But I wanted to, as ever, I came to this wanting to like it. I definitely came away wanting to like it more. Who's going to go first between us about what stops it being transcendent and really special?
Can I be so bold? Because it goes back to... Sorry, I've still got the squeaky chair, by the way. I do apologise if you can hear
look,
that.
I told you, you've had a week to sort that out.
I know. I mean, I didn't even get some oil. I mean, that was... You know what I mean? Never mind, get a new chair. Get some oil, Shane, and put some on there.
Yeah. I imagine a man as handy with his hands...
I bet you do.
No, I don't imagine you more than that.
But it's never going to happen, love.
I think people worked that out in episode 1 with great relief. You must have some oil in the house.
I thought you were going to say you must have some tools.
Stop it. Being of Irish stock, I'll be saying that you must have some WD-40 in the house, or you've got a lot of UB-40s. I know that.
I've got two.
You collect those from radio stations.
I've got 2 cans of WD-40.
Right.
In
Well,
fact,
is that like WD-80?
if Alan Partridge in his podcast actually describes WD-40 as to how it got the name WD-40, because it's they were trying to make a water dispersant, and they got it right on the 40th attempt. So, it's true, that is WD-40. Sorry.
Now, that should worry you that you actually now sound like Alan Partridge, but without the laughs, strangely. But yes, what was my question? Hopefully you can remember.
No, I was going to say that, if I might make so bold, because it was the whole thing that is the caveat in me kind of liking this, is that, and me not believing that they'd been out together and decided, oh, this will make a great TV program. I don't really kind of buy that one, because I didn't feel the chemistry between them, and it felt really staged to me, believe it or not. Now, if it isn't, I apologise to the both of them. If it is, I apologise to him anyway. But do you know what I mean? That's how it felt to me, and I think I was trying to nail it down. And I think one of the things is that Bob overuses Paul's name, and I think that's just the way he is. Do you like this, Paul? Have one of these, Paul. Do you like it, Paul? Is it nice, Paul? And in every now, I know people who do that. I used to have a guy who guested on my show. He was an antiques expert, still is, very successful. He's on the TV now. But he was used to say Shane in every sentence. Yes, Shane. So it's one of these, Shane, and it's worth this, Shane. And that.
Do you think that was overcompensation for the fact that he couldn't stand you, Shane?
I think he could have done Shane. Oh no, hang on. Yeah,
it's a crying Shane.
It's a crying Shane. Yeah,
but you were after that.
But I did really feel that it was really, it felt staged to me. Did you get that sense or not?
Well, I know they couldn't call it staged because that name's already gone. Although, if they thought of it earlier, look, there are bits that, you know, they'll say, "Oh, I've got this fabulous place for us to stay in," and you think, yeah, that's probably not the first time anyone's suggested that thought. But you need that help, don't you, as a viewer? I mean, it is. The whole of TV is a conceit, isn't it? They call it moving pictures. They're not moving at all. They're just 25 static pictures a second. And so you can only unpick TV so far before you actually hit some something staged or created.
But I've never understood why that is, Adrian. Because, you know, Adrian...
It's the persistence of vision, Shane.
What
happens is your brain... Oh, you're not talking about that.
With TV, if you'd have done this same thing on radio, you'd have gone out there with a field recorder and you'd have had the bravery to just record and then chop down, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but it is easy. Radio is easier, so it's not a fair comparison, I don't think.
Radio's easier. Listen to you. What kind of monster have you become? What?
Too many years working.
What the hell am I working with here?
Well, okay, more agile and dirt cheap. We know that for a fact. Have you ever listened to what I think is a very good show? You might have the same difficulty with it. I don't know. Claire Balding's Ramblings on Radio 4.
Oh, yeah.
You might not be a fan of Ms. Balding.
Well, I'm not a fan of the programme either. I think to me that is like really lazy. That is the antithesis of what I'm talking about, is that you can still make something interesting and it doesn't have to be like this kind of stream of consciousness. Although, having said that, it is quite difficult to make, you know, walking in the countryside exciting at the best of times, isn't it, I guess, really?
I don't know, but again, well, I'm not sure that Gone Fishing or Ramblings, either show is meant to be exciting. It's meant to be engaging. Excitement is, it's the Sweeney and cars driving into cardboard boxes and miraculously surviving. You wanted guerrilla TV, didn't you? Yeah. But not with gorillas in. Guerrillas.
I wanted a guerrilla erection.
A guerrilla.
We sound like Jan Leeming reading the news in the 1990s. A guerrilla erection.
Not sure she used the second word that often, but hey.
It was it not the 9 o'clock news? Pamela Stevenson, wasn't she? She always used to do impressions of her, and she'd say,
Oh,
Mr.
Yeah.
Mugabe.
Yes. The slight over-precision.
Love it.
So, where does that leave us? I think there's... Look, I'm not 100% agreeing with you, but there's certainly... We're sort of meeting halfway on our concerns. I think... I'm surprised to hear you say there's no chemistry, or you would... Maybe didn't quite say no, but you said there wasn't enough. Did you say
Didn't
no,
feel
or?
it, yeah. I didn't feel it. It wasn't happening for me at all. You felt it did?
I thought there was some... It was not all off the cuff and magically flowing scene after scene, but there was enough there to make me believe, they are mates. But by the way, we should just say, before I forget, it's an Owl Power production for the BBC. You'll find it on the iPlayer as we speak. I think I said last time it's there for over a year as we speak.
And Owl Power proves that they're not just mates, they're also business partners as well, because that's their joint production company.
Well, okay. That's, in a sense, in terms of whether they're mates or chemistry or whatever, that's probably neither here nor there, because you can be mates and run a company, and you can not be mates and run a company.
I'm sorry, I wasn't suggesting they weren't mates. And
No. I was just rambling, as Claire Balding might call it, in her much more posh tones. Now, for me, there was a question about depth.
Of the water.
Look, let's hear.
It couldn't have been any deeper, otherwise the waders wouldn't have worked, would they? That's the problem.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. I've seen the light now.
Go on.
Anyway, shall we hear the second audio clip before I dive into slightly deeper waters?
At least you've been current.
Oh, very good. But not tidal.
Take that to the bank.
Tales of the Riverbank. Right.
It's just a
now,
stream of consciousness, isn't it?
So, since we gave you no fishing last time, it only seems fair to have some actual proactive fishing in this second and final clip. Although, of course, for any act of successful fishing, i.e. that delivers tight lines, to quote your term, Shane, there are hours upon hours upon hours of, well, if you're feeling kind, you'd call it reflection. Another pun, potentially. If you're feeling less enamoured of fishing, you might just say, utter boredom.
Come on, let's get that out there. Hey, that'll do you. Keep that line. Yes, he's got it. Careful. Don't pull it too hard. Don't pull
All right,
it too hard.
I'm not. I promise you I'm not.
Right, let it go. Good luck, I'll get the net. You're on your own, Bob. Right, you can try and get some of that line on the reel now. Right, lift the rod up a little bit. A bit of strain on you. Right, okay, now start to wind in a little bit.
Don't laugh at me.
I'm not laughing.
Who's got a fish on the end of the line?
I'm not laughing, watch. The last laugh will be on the fish if you're not careful. There he goes.
Didn't like the look of you, did he?
Never mind your comedy now, Bob. Come on. Ready? Keep going. Whoa! Whoa, look at that.
Look at that. That is a clonker.
It's a clonker. Whoa.
Ooh. Oh, thank
Trout.
you, fishy.
There we go. Let's get him back, yeah? In we go.
And away. There he goes.
Whoa.
Nice bit of catch and release there as well, for all you fish lovers. It sounds even less real when I just hear it real.
Is that another pun?
Yeah, when
okay.
I hear it without seeing the pictures, but it's strange though. Anyway, sorry, you were going to say something before we were rudely interrupted by the clip.
You can hear. I suppose it's more obvious when you haven't got that. Beautiful pictures, by the way.
Yes.
HD, beautiful aerial photography, and the real credit perhaps should go to the English countryside. Lord love it. That's one of the stars of the show, certainly. But I was going to say about depth. Yeah, it's sort of halfway gets there at points. For instance, I mean, there was a theme to this. The theme being mortality, really, And given where they both come in to this from, the seeing, unfortunately, reminders of their own frailty, at least, in terms of having heart problems, each of them, it seemed an appropriate theme for the show. And without giving too many spoilers, it's not that kind of show where you could spoil it too much, but it is built around the fact that the mayfly only hangs around for 24 hours. Yeah. And so that becomes a theme. So what could be too much of a ramble becomes at least themed. But then they're talking about their parents and losing their fathers, how they didn't, their fathers didn't tell them that they loved them, or at least Paul had a different experience. But then, for me, that was crying out for a supplementary question. Well, do you have children yourselves, and do you behave differently as fathers? If you want some depth and get down to the gravelly bottom, if I may use that term, it's almost Niall Edmonds territory, isn't it?
It sounds like the answer to where you can get felt in Birmingham, doesn't it? Actually, on Gravelly Hill, Gravelly Bottom. Yeah, well, it's weird that you say that, because I felt exactly the same, but I didn't know whether that was the person, because I lost my father last year, and it sounds very similar to the situation that Paul Whitehouse found himself in conversations that I'd had and various things. I found that really quite upsetting, but at the same time quite cathartic. And also, I wanted more of it. But then I'm kind of thinking, well, if they're billing this as a comedy program, then is it fair to want more of that? I don't really know. But I found myself feeling the same. I didn't know. I thought it was more for personal reasons than anything.
Well, I mean, are they, to pick up that point about comedy, because it's an interesting one, are they billing it as a comedy show? If you were to look at your tags, I'm trying to read it, as it were, on the fly, as in fishing. I mean, they are certainly two well-known comedians, certainly of their generation, and Fast Show and Reeves and Mortimer being huge shows in the past, and then a revival, an anniversary revival for the Fast Show recently. I asked a friend, because I had my own tales of the riverbank. There's not many upsides to the coronavirus pandemic, but one of them is socially distanced walking with friends, which we've taken up in the summer. I mean, I don't know how hardy we are to take it now as we're into the autumn. But one of them, Caroline, I was talking about this very show, Gone Fishing, and she said, "Oh, yeah, I like that one." And then I thought, well, this is my market research for the Slab. I said to her, "So is it a comedy?" And there was, I wasn't recording at the time, but if I played it back, there would be a pause. She gave it all due thought, which was nice, because you could see that she didn't want to rush an answer, and she said, a gentle comedy.
Right.
And gentle certainly is the adjective for this kind of show. In fact, I think for unscripted, this would count as unscripted, although you and I might wonder if there are little notes. But this is like the unscripted version of the scripted show we just slabbed the other week, The Detectorist, or Detectorist.
You see, I don't buy the whole spontaneity thing. I'm not calling them liars or anything, but and to me, it just feels like it doesn't come across as a natural unscripted thing. However, I did look it up. My point of reference is I go to the Internet Movie Database and look it up and see what it's listed as, and it's listed as a comedy / reality TV. So, right, I would have it as factual entertainment, but that might be IMDb's definition rather than the BBC. Oh yeah, I think it probably is. Yeah, in fairness, but I would say that's a point of reference for me. Really, I don't know. I mean, like I say, it was just a niggle for me that I kind of felt like that, and I'm kind of almost blaming myself. Why am I feeling like it's stilted and it's staged and it's not as spontaneous as they obviously want me to think that he's. What am I picking up? What vibes am I picking up that are making me feel like that? And I don't really know the answer to that, but there wasn't enough in there for me to go, oh man, this is just the best thing ever. But it wasn't lacking sufficiently that I kind of think, oh, this is awful. So, I mean, I came away enjoying it more than I didn't, which has got to be good, hasn't it? It's got to be a good thing.
That would suggest more than half marks in my book.
And I do. It's interesting you said about the countryside, you know, and the beauty of it. And don't get me wrong, I don't live anywhere as beautiful as some of the scenes that were shot there. But it did make me think when I was watching it that if you live in the country as I do, then you're lucky enough to have that kind of feeling all the while. And if you live in the city, then obviously you would drink in that countryside because you don't get to see, like in the same way that I feel about the seaside because I live 70 miles from the nearest bit of coastline. You know, so there is that to it as well, isn't there? I think where you live and how you live have got an impact on what impact it makes on you.
Yeah. Also, I imagine this kind of show might do better under lockdown or semi-lockdown that we're now in before the next lockdown, wherever we are with it. And it's different in different parts of the UK and different parts of the world. But this might be more of a refuge and hence get higher ratings now than under normal circumstances. It'd be interesting to look at the numbers on that. But
Yeah.
So, talking of numbers, we must we not, score out of 5 each, tot it up to a mark out of 10, and then get next week's homework. So, the inevitable, who goes first? Halt. Who goes first?
Who goes first? Can I just say, I was looking through all the reviews on the Internet Movie Database, and I then went on to The Guardian to have a look because they'd written a review about it, and then I forget, I don't bother with the review in The Guardian. And then I just go straight down to the comments, what people have replied to it. And there was one that was lovely there, and I just thought, I've got to mention this. Somebody had replied, and they just put in the comment section at the bottom, and they filmed in our village a few months back. Couldn't have been more pleasant, and a remarkably high tolerance for selfies, etc. A real pleasure to meet them. And I thought,
oh, that's nice.
What a lovely, you know, like you peek behind the curtain and you see what the guys are really like. You kind of think, what a lovely thing to say about them. I thought it was really nice.
That is nice. Although, of course, if you've got your cynical hat on, as you seem to have, would you believe that's a genuine comment?
It's probably
I'm not even going to go there.
Whitehouse, that is, isn't it? It's a load of old cods.
For me, it's got Lisa Mortimer written all over it. But hey, just joking.
You missed that one, didn't you? A load of old cods wallop. That's another reference. Go on then. Sorry, who goes? Do you want me to go first?
Who goes there? Yeah, go on then.
I'm going to go straight in there. Like I say, I've said the things that I didn't like about it.
I was going to predict a 3, given that you said you liked more about it than you didn't like. But hey, who's consistent in this world?
Depends how much more about it I liked than I didn't like.
Okay.
Hang on, I'm going to have to write that down. It's the middle bit. Don't call me stupid. No. I would say, I mean, the things that I did like about it was that, you know, I mean, they are 2 really likeable characters. I don't really know a lot about fishing, so it's nice to see something you don't really know. I went fishing once in the River Shannon in Ireland when I was 13 years old, and I caught a fish, and that was kind of enough for me. I didn't really want to do any more after that. I thought, right, I've done that.
Tick that off.
Fish. That'll do. Right. Next. Tick that, yeah, I'll take that one off the list.
Bungee jumping next.
So it's kind of like, you know, there was it was something that I didn't really know a lot about, and I thought it was reasonably well executed. Apart from, as I say, that niggle that my antenna were picking up that it wasn't what it was being portrayed as. So I would give it a 3.5.
Ooh.
Out of 5.
Ooh.
3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, well, I thought it'd be 3. 3.5 sounds, compared to where I thought you were, that sounds generous. Okie doke. Do you know what? I haven't given this a moment's thought, but I think I might have to be 3, but with my usual footnotes. I know. Footnote being, it's not quite for me, and this kind of format anyway, by its nature, it can't have the sort of driver or the cliffhanger at the end of it that makes you think, you know what I'm like being a Unitarian, but I'm even less inclined to watch another one. No offence to either of the gents who are, I've worked with both, and they're both lovely, I can say that. And that's gospel. But just not my cup of tea, and it's one of those things, maybe I'm not stressed enough. That's the lucky situation I find myself in. I don't need the antidote. Because I'm just lucky. I'll put that in writing just for future reference.
It would make me go back and want to watch the others.
Oh, that's good. That's a huge recommendation then, or a huge winning over of you.
Yeah, I think so. And simply because I came away from it. And like sometimes we have to review stuff and you kind of think, I'm really not enjoying this. How long's left? I can't believe it's 27 minutes left. I feel like I've been here all my life. And I never had at any point. Never did I look at the timing and the clock. Never at any point during the both watches. So you kind of think, well, that's got to answer for something, hasn't it? Really, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want homework for next week? Six and what did we say? 6.5, wasn't it? Out of 10 for Mortimer and Whitehouse Gone Fishing, which is available. Many episodes are available on the iPlayer right now. Depending on when you're listening to this podcast, of course, because right now is
it was only right then.
Very much an elastic term, isn't it, in the world of podcasting? Homework for next week, then, my old sausage.
Is that the name of the show?
No,
I thought it'd be a cooking show.
But I am going I'm going to send you somewhere.
Aye.
I'm not sure that you want to go, but we're going to go there anyway.
What, Lidl? Oh, no, sorry. That's unfair. No, I have been there. They have some good deals. Okay, well, you might as well send me there because you're going to do it anyway. So sooner rather than later, I want that tooth extracted quickly rather than slow.
Am I right in thinking that you've never watched an episode of Red Dwarf?
Well, if I have... It's so long ago I can't remember it. Certainly no more than one, obviously, being a Unitarian. I think I've only either seen a clip, seen a bit of a show while someone else was watching it, or certainly forgotten 95%. I'm going to say, in effect, all I remember is seeing the wall of the studio used as part of the set. That's all I've seen. That's the kind of fascinating media insider I am.
Well, it's your turn to dip your toe in now because that's where we're going.
I'm really pleased because I need to be sat down and watch a whole one.
I need to, like anybody else who's never come to Red Dwarf before, I need to just tell you basically it's about a guy called Dave Rimmer, who's played by Craig Charles, who was in stasis, which is a kind of suspended animation, when the ship was destroyed by one of the other characters called Rimmer, who is now a hologram, although he's a hologram with a hard light projector inside him, so he can actually touch things and pick things up. The third character is played by Robert Llewellyn. He's a mechanoid called Crichton. And the fourth character is a guy called Danny, is played by Danny John Jules, I should say, who is a character called Cat, who evolved from the ship's cat. Now, I tell you that for no other reason than you kind of think, what on earth is going on here? And why does Danny John Jules keep going, oh, look at my shiny thing? Or cat references like that. Right. So that's why I told you that.
Thanks.
But yeah, I thought rather than go for the early episodes, which are a bit laboured as it was finding its feet. It took it a good few series to find its feet. I thought we'd go to episode 1 of series 10.
Blimey.
And the episode is called... I know. I've got to tell you, I've watched all of it. This one's called Trojan. So Red Dwarf, series 10, episode 1, entitled Trojan, is your homework for next week.
Thank you very much. I shall look forward to it. No need to do social media now. We've already done it up front. So it remains for me to say I'm going to go to a website called felt.com. I'll leave it at that.
We'll see you at Gravelly Bottom.
When the tide's out.